Guys, let's talk about the NFL and more specifically the AFC Championship game last night between the Bills and the Chiefs. We have a Super Bowl rematch, Eagles versus Chiefs. We may have to go back to Jay's house because that's where we watched the first iteration.
Do it, man. I'll throw the party.
Of Eagles and Chiefs. All right, well, I'm back in. Let's do it. But Josh Allen versus Mahomes. Boy, I want to start with you on this one.
Yeah.
In 4 games in the playoffs against the Chiefs, Josh Allen has 11 total touchdowns, 1 total turnover, and 0 wins.
So
you have to play perfect to beat Mahomes. That is what it is.
It's just crazy. So there's a number of things about this, and a couple that are pissing me off that we'll get to later. But first of all, credit to the Chiefs. They're as much as I'm sick of them. When they first started winning, I was rooting for them because they'd play the Patriots, and I was sick of the Patriots and sick of Tom Brady. Now I'm sick of the Chiefs. But the run that they've been on since Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid got together is unheard of. If they win another Super Bowl, it's just crazy.
Well, it does. You don't think it already eclipses Brady and Belichick yet?
I think it's close. I think they're getting there. I mean, this is their what?
Sixth Super Bowl
trip in 7 years.
Super Bowl in 6 years.
Yeah, but how many in total?
4.
5th and 6th. It's their 5th Super Bowl.
It's Mahomes' 5th and 6th seasons as a starter.
Okay.
And it would be his.
Well, if they win, it would be his fourth win.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And that's how. I mean, that's how it starts.
It's crazy. You have the best coach in the league and the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And 2 years in a row. Before that, 3, when they won their first one, everybody was picking them. The last 2 years, it's not been the case. No. Now, I haven't been as down on the Chiefs as other people have, but I picked the Bills to win this game.
I didn't.
You didn't?
I told them I'm not picking against the Chiefs.
No, you guys all picked the Bills. I was
did.
the only
On
one
Friday.
that picked.
That's true.
I picked the Chiefs. I was the only one that picked the Chiefs.
I remember.
I wasn't here Friday.
That's
Oh,
right.
you're right. Jason was in. All right, G,
fair.
you're right. Okay,
So I
G, you're
did get
That's
exonerated.
fair. We all
You're
picked the
exonerated.
Bills.
No.
And the Chiefs just find a way. Every game is close. They find a way.
Is it 12
every
one-score
single
games
time.
this
I mean,
year?
it's just
12-0
insane.
in one-score
For
games.
you-
It's insane. And they lost 2 years ago. They lost Tyreek Hill. Everybody made such a big deal about it. It's been a non-factor. He's one of the best. I mean, at this point, he's not the best anymore. But it's a non-factor. You lost one of the best receivers in football. Their best receiver going into the year, Rashee Rice, missed the season.
Yeah.
Their best running back going into the season, Isaiah Pacheco, got hurt after a couple of weeks, and he hasn't been the same guy since he's been back. Kelce's clearly getting old. He wasn't exactly still great and still
Although
clutch.
he flipped the switch last week.
But he's not the player he once was. He's not
I
at his
don't
peak
think so.
anymore.
No.
And it doesn't matter.
Because
they find a way every time.
Because they are the quintessential project stockpile team. They don't. You mentioned all those guys. Rashee Rice. Okay, you got hurt. Well, listen, we're drafting worthy. We're going to draft Sky Moore. Oh, that didn't hit. We're going to draft another guy. Oh, that didn't hit. We'll get DeAndre Hopkins. We'll still bring Juju Smith-Schuster back. Oh, Kareem Hunt is finished. We'll bring him back into the fold. They never quit. They never say we're great. And my takeaway from this situation is the Bills. Look, you got the quarterback. If you want to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, the regular conventional thought process that you're going to be, oh, well, we'll look for the future and we'll still try to win now. If you are Lamar Jackson, if you are Patrick Mahomes, or not Patrick Mahomes, but Joe Burrow, if you are Josh Allen and you're trying to get where you need to go with Pat Mahomes and beat them, you have to be pushing every button. I don't care about no first-round picks. I don't care about no picks, period. I don't care about no young dudes. You need to have multiple stars on offense.
Hey, I listen.
Multiple.
I get what you're saying, G. The Ravens and Bengals have more talent around their quarterbacks than Patrick Mahomes
They need more.
does.
They need
and
more.
It's still I don't buy that.
They need more.
I don't buy
until they win, bull. Until you just said it.
Yeah.
You said it yourself. This is how you lull yourself to sleep.
Yeah.
You said you have to play perfect. So
I didn't say that. Mike said that.
But,
Well, you do, though. He's
you
right.
have to play perfect.
He's right.
And you're not going to get another coach because those coaches are good. They're just not Andy Reid. And you got the quarterback. You know they can compete on that length. So what do you do to close the gap? you have to have an all-time roster.
Well,
this is an arms race.
We're not talking about defense in this conversation yet either. In Kansas City, when you mentioned they lost some pieces on offense, their defense became more dominant. Their
but the defense wasn't dominant yesterday.
Well, you hold a Bills team that can pretty much score at will. What was it, 24 points?
All them.
What was the final?
32-29?
Yeah, I mean, it
29
wasn't.
points?
That's dominant. Give me
Enough to
29
win.
points.
Here's what the defense has to do. Allow one fewer point than the offense scores.
Okay, but you said
and
it was
that's
dominant.
What they do.
I'm saying it wasn't dominant.
Where's their defense ranked this year?
They were good
NFL.
this season. They were very good defense.
They're very
But
good.
I'm just talking about this week. They weren't dominant.
Well, this week, look, it's an
Yeah.
AFC championship game. You know, with these two quarterbacks, you know what you're going to get. You're going to
Yeah.
get a shootout. By the way, I thought the game was good. It wasn't as good as the game last year. Last year's game was all-time great.
No, that wasn't last
2
year.
years ago. 2
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
The overtime game.
The difference is Andy Reid is the ultimate difference.
He is. It's everything together. Andy Reid's the best coach. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. Their defense is playing very, very well. You put it all together, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl
I
every year.
personally don't think Patrick Mahomes is any better than Allen. I know this is a minority opinion, and that's fine. And everybody can kill me, whatever. I think Burrow, Lamar, and Josh Allen are as good as Patrick Mahomes. But
Can I give you the difference?
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
I think
Yeah.
in general you're right. Skill set's very similar.
Yeah.
They could. It's in the clutch.
He don't miss.
This guy in the clutch is unbelievable.
He don't miss.
He also
when
has,
they have to have it, they get it.
he also has a much better coach than any of those teams do.
He's got the best coach.
Yeah.
And that's a cheat
That's a
code.
big advantage.
And then when you put those two together, it's
Yeah.
Belichick and Brady all
So
over again.
if you know this and you understand this, stop going into the offseason saying this is good enough. It's not. You're wasting people's prime. If I got Josh Allen, I'm dropping haymakers all offseason because it's not about what you do in the regular season. You have to out talent them because you're not going to be better than Mahomes and the coach. You're just not.
You know what really hurt them? They made a move, and it was Amari Cooper.
That ain't going to get it
Man,
done.
you talk about
Amari
a guy
Cooper,
just becoming invisible almost overnight. In his playoff game last year, he had over 200 receiving yards.
Nah, that
that
wasn't a
guy.
move.
No, what I'm saying is they thought that was a splash move,
That wasn't.
and they missed on it.
Yeah,
Big.
I don't buy that these. I mean, the Ravens made some big moves this offseason. They got.
I
Derrick
thought the
Henry.
Ravens were the team
You know,
this
it's
year.
just listen. The Chiefs are unbelievable. Patrick Mahomes deserves credit. He is the clutchest quarterback. There's no doubt about it. He has an advantage of a great coaching staff around him, a veteran team around him. I do think this every time that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson lose, that we got to shit all over them, is so ridiculous.
It was like it feels to me, Bull, like
Yeah.
when Manning would lose to Brady. You know, you were like, my God, this
Yeah.
guy's all-time great. This guy does everything.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady was in his way. Same thing with Roethlisberger. That era of quarterbacks, the AFC right now feels like it did then.
It did, and eventually Manning and Roethlisberger broke through.
Poked through
And
here and there.
And and at some point, Allen and Lamar and Burrow obviously Burrow's the last guy to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Bengals last time to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. But eventually, they didn't win the Super Bowl. Eventually, those guys got to win a Super Bowl. I get it. You know, that's how we're judged.
It feels,
to
though,
some
like
degree.
we've got the Manning, Brady, Roethlisberger era all over again. And playing
Right.
the part of Brady is Mahomes.
Yeah.
And playing the part of Manning is Allen. And playing the part of Roethlisberger might be Burrow. It almost feels like that.
Yeah.
And right now, it's going to be
It's
really hard to knock
I
these
think
guys
Mahomes
off.
is going to go down as the greatest quarterback ever because he's going to win the most.
Man,
I think he's going to win more than Brady does. Probably. I
Brady
think
won
they're
8?
Who's
I was thinking he won 6. I don't know.
No, I think Brady won 7 or 8.
No, 7.
Seven.
He won 6
7.
with New England and the one with
God
Tampa Bay.
dang,
Right,
man.
right.
And the one at Tampa Bay, that
I mean,
was, to me,
Mahomes
that was
is not even 30 yet.
who is
I know. Brady started hot, too.
But not as hot as this.
Who is
No, no one has.
who is the best receiver that the Bills have?
Shakir.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Shakira can't be your best.
No,
Shakira.
hey, listen.
That's the only Shakira I know.
Dalton,
His hips lie.
His hips was lying all
I
week.
think it's fair to be critical of the Bills specifically in terms of adding talent. They had a lot. I think both of you guys didn't have the Bills in the playoffs
No, I
before
didn't.
the season.
No, I think I had the Bills
I think
in
they
the
was going to
playoffs.
take. I think they was going to take a step back. But obviously, Josh Allen
Yeah.
was a monster. They got to. Here's the thing, man. I can't keep harping on it. Look, who's the best receiver that the Ravens got?
Zay Flowers, but he was hurt in the Bills game.
Okay.
He didn't play in
So
One
you're going to need some more.
One
bro.
thing on the Bills
need
that
some
I
more.
think needs to be pointed out and see what you guys think about this. And I've seen it this year, but I was reminded and stunned at the lack of creativity and imagination in their offense. McDermott said properly, by the way, I thought he was the picture of class doing that interview in defeat last night after the game was over. But the one thing he said, he was asked specifically what did it come down to, and he said it was short yardage situations. They were abysmal on those 4th and 1 plays. And they kept trying the same thing over and over.
I didn't understand. Although I thought they got that last one,
I did too.
But in the end, they had the ball with a chance to win.
Yes.
Kincaid's got to catch that ball. That was an amazing throw by Allen.
In his hands.
It was in hands.
That
In
was
his
an
hands.
incredible throw by Allen. He had no time to throw. No, I don't.
If he catches that, they're going to overtime at minimum.
Yes.
Because they're in field goal range.
Yes.
And I just thought they're off. If you put Andy Reid in Buffalo with
my
these
God.
same pieces,
Yeah.
you've got the same thing you have in Kansas City right now.
He's so much more innovative when it comes to the creativity, the way he puts game plans and schemes things together, and just the concept. It's not even close.
There were
It's not
times
even
where
close.
Cook wasn't even on the field on those 4th and 1s. It reminded me of Pete Carroll when he lost a national championship game because he had Reggie Bush on the sidelines and didn't have the Heisman Trophy. Even if you're not going to give him the ball, use him as a decoy.
Yeah,
and James Cook was
James Cook had a good game, and he's a really good player.
but they never used him in those 4th and 1s.
Well, they did for the touchdown. He had that one touchdown on 4th
but
down.
was that 4th down?
I think
that
it
was 4th down.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right. You're right.
Ty Johnson's been good for them in that role, so they use. But I would have used him more personally, but I don't know. And man, it's just unreal how the Chiefs are always.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I think they're going to win.
I
I'm
do
rooting
too.
for Philadelphia, but
I'm not picking against it, but I do have a question to ask you. And Bull, you've been
Yeah.
firing shots left and right about this
Well,
all
'cause
morning.
this is
So
just silly.
let's bring up the Kareem Hunt topic. Did the
Okay.
Browns make a mistake letting Kareem
stop
Hunt
it.
walk?
This is ludicrous. Okay, there's plenty of fair things to crap on the Browns about. Not bringing back Kareem Hunt, really? And this all started because my man Darryl Ryder, I love him. We worked together for many years. But Darryl puts the Browns, they couldn't use Kareem Hunt or whatever he said last night. Like, that's just such a disingenuous thing.
I agree with him.
It's okay. The Browns would have still won 3 games with Kareem Hunt. Let's face the realities. People are talking about Kareem Hunt having 7 touchdowns as if he's freaking Saquon Barkley here. He averaged 3.5 yards a carry, which is terrible. He's 53 out of 61 running backs in the league in yards after contact. He gets the ball on the 3-yard line, and he does that job. He's nice in that role.
Well, and
that would
that's
have done
why-
nothing for the Browns this year.
Nothing. We're not in a situation where we needed a closer.
He would have been useless
all,
for the
all
Browns.
that being said,
Yeah.
I said when they signed him, I said when the Browns didn't bring him back, I go, oh, well, he's going back to Kansas City. Here's what he is. He's a 2 or 3 yard back. There was a play yesterday where he was hit 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He gained 7 yards after that. The tough yards
but he's
in
not
the
good
NFL.
at that.
And by the way,
he's not good at that.
No, he is.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
What-
He's
what?
53rd out of 61 running backs in yards after contact.
We need touchdowns, right? If Buffalo had a guy that was great in 4th and 1,
They'd be good.
and you know what the difference between Buffalo, one of the differences between Buffalo and Philly is, when Philly's in 4th and 1, you're like, oh, okay, a new set of down. You can't stop them. It's a first down almost every single
Kareem
time.
Hunt's dependent on his offensive
But what I
line.
like about Kareem Hunt and what the Kansas City Chiefs recognized that they could use, the toughest 3 feet in all of sports is from the 1 yard line.
When
you need a guy that has a nose for the end zone. He's not a great back anymore, but he does have a way to plow through all that and get into the end zone. And that's a commodity.
But he's like,
ask Buffalo today.
He finished like 25th in touchdowns amongst running backs. It's
But-
not like he's put
but
up-
hold on, but that's stats. That's just stats.
Touchdowns per carry.
I'm sorry, I'm using facts.
No,
I
no,
apologize.
you're not going to use him like you use a regular back.
that's
You're
not-
only using him in that spot.
What we're talking about is
That's what I'm saying.
But he's a weapon.
Bull, you got to understand.
I just think he's a guy.
But I listen.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Darryl that we should have kept him. Or
Yeah.
I mean, what are we going to do with him?
Here's the thing. There's 2 things here.
Yeah.
One fold is when you're playing against a guy, there's a cumulative effect when you have to tackle a guy that's running that hard. People act like these are humans. Like, there is an effect on the run game. I got to get up.
Psychologically.
It's psychological. It's physical. Sometimes you run the ball not to get 7 yards of carry. You run the ball because it's a mentality, and you got to get a tough 3 sometimes. You know how important a tough 3 is. Ask the Buffalo Bills how they got to run their quarterback, and they got stopped when it's 4th and inches. How much would they pay for 3 yards in that case?
Well,
1 yard.
Can I give one
they've
stat
had
real
a
quick?
better play call. It would have worked. But
Well,
if
can I give you
Kareem
one
Hunt's
stat?
so good, why did nobody want him in the beginning of each of the last 2 years?
Because here's the thing. Everybody can't see what other people see. Some people is just not good. Like, some people that run these teams are not smart.
Well, but no team wanted him. None.
But the best team did, and he's
The best team did after the season started because their running back got hurt.
But that's what gave him the opportunity.
Right.
He wasn't in the top 53, but he was very important once their running back went out. Andy knows
I just
this
think
guy.
there's a lot of other guys that
can
can do what he does, and I think it's overrated.
They went with him, and here they are in the bowl
we
again.
got 3 or 4 guys that ain't doing what he doing.
What's your stat, Mike?
What are you talking about?
Who do you think finished with a higher 4th down conversion rate this year, the Bills or the Chiefs?
The Bills.
The Bills did.
They did second highest in football.
Which is why I was so disappointed
it was
yesterday.
last night they didn't play
It's why
well.
I was so disappointed with yesterday. They kept trying to shift Allen to the left.
Man.
In that half of a second that it takes him to get the snap and take a step to the left,
Man.
the play's over.
That's all about coaching.
It's all about
it.
coaching.
Yeah.
I just kept screaming. They tried it again and again and again.
Think about this. We've gotten to a place where now we are counting on quarterback sneaks. These dudes are doing mental gymnastics to get quarterbacks to do these sneaks when old school football reigns supreme. Give me 2 tight ends, a fullback, and a short yardage back, and I'm about to get these yards.
They should have given the ball to James Cook some of those times. I don't know why they didn't.
I was screaming
He's a
for them to
way
give
better
the ball
back
to
than
Cook.
Kareem Hunt.
And I had Cook in my fantasy team this year.
Yeah.
And so I was keenly aware of how they use him and how
Yeah.
he's effective in that situation. And I just kept looking at Sean McDermott like, what? Did you forget that you have this guy in your roster? He's on the sidelines during these
McDermott
plays.
said during the regular season we were intentionally not giving Cook some carries. We want to save him for the playoffs. And then that must have made last night even more kind of baffling.
More
than-
perplexing.
Man,
Yes.
And like the Chiefs almost never sneak with Patrick Mahomes. They don't really do it.
No.
You
They're
got
like, oh, we got a running back. Let's let him do it.
What they do,
got-
though, in that
again,
situation, and they did it last night.
I think you and I
they
are
might try
mostly on the
boots.
same page.
We are.
Kareem Hunt is perfectly fine in that
He
role.
is not a star.
He's certainly not. And I'm just saying, I don't think he's like this special
Well,
you know what
goal
he-
line back.
well,
I
what he
think
is?
he's a fine
He's
goal line
almost like
back.
the utility guy who, when you bring him in, can steal a base, or you put him in as a defensive replacement, makes a diving play.
Yeah.
Maybe here and there he'll get a clutch hit for you. He's a piece on the roster that if you asked Andy Reid today, would you be where you are if you didn't have him for the season? He might tell you no.
He got 17 carries, 64 yards, 1 touchdown. That is hard playoff yards.
He played a solid game.
he did. He had a nice
I don't
game.
deny that.
And the
yeah.
championship,
But that's 4 yards a carry. It's not like he's changing
this,
life.
I'm just saying this whole thing about that the Browns blew it. It's easy to crap on the Browns for a lot of real things. The Browns didn't blow it with Kareem
But
Hunt.
here's and
Yeah.
the next thing is the
Yeah.
overarching theme is with the Cleveland Browns is not being able to properly evaluate who's good, who's bad, and who you should be playing. The problem is Kareem Hunt was here in his prime,
He was.
and the Browns still didn't use him correctly.
Well, how should they have used him? They didn't use
How
him.
many times did we say, "Where's Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in the same backfield"?
begged for
Okay,
We're-
I said it too, but the reality is, they didn't do that in Kansas City.
But here's what I'm saying.
Nobody
though.
really does that,
So-
even though I wanted it also.
But here's the thing. I give you another example.
Yeah.
We got Odell Beckham Jr., right? He goes to the Rams and he scores touchdowns in the Super Bowl. And you're like, well, I thought he was washed. I thought we couldn't find a way to get
come
him.
on.
What
Odell
you
was
mean?
washed.
Well, hold on.
He had like 2-3 good games. He was
hold on.
basically washed.
But here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you score 2 touchdowns in a game in the Super Bowl and you couldn't get the ball in Cleveland, the reality is, Bull,
He got the ball here.
listen,
He was a bad teammate. I mean, this is an
but-
old argument at this point.
No,
but-
it's not. No, it's not an old argument.
Yeah,
The argument is everybody that leaves Cleveland goes to these other. Hey, what about Schwartz? What about Mitchell Schwartz?
That was a huge mistake.
Okay,
That has nothing to do with this regime, though.
but what I'm saying is there's a
no, but
perception-
Odell barely did anything after he left here. You know that. That's true.
Stop. You know he bought it. You know we had arguments about what Odell did in the playoffs to get him there in the postseason.
I give you, he did well in that postseason. But he never did anything else besides that.
But
That was a great run.
But what I'm
Were the
saying,
Browns going to the postseason?
But what I'm saying is, as we move forward,
Yeah.
we got what gives you confidence that if you can't see this guy can play still, or you can't put this guy in position, I got a hard time.
I just don't think Kareem Hunt's a good example.
I got a hard time thinking if you draft Travis Hunter, you're gonna put him in position.
Gee,
and
that's a fair
fair.
question if you factor in the drafts too.
Yes,
the guys they've drafted at wide receiver that have given us nothing whatsoever. It makes me question how are they going to finally get it right at that spot?
But what I'm saying is, I don't think Kareem Hunt or even Odell are good examples, in my opinion.
You know what would have happened yesterday if Amari Cooper caught the game-winning touchdown?
Yeah.
The narrative this morning would have been, the Browns blew
100%.
it. No, they didn't. Amari is done.
Yeah.
They knew it before anyone else did. So I got to give them credit on that one.
I give credit where credit is due. I'll give credit.
Jarvis Landry was done.
Where credit is due on that. My thing is like this. It's all about the evaluation process. If the Cleveland Browns, it's painful to see people go other places and have a certain level of success, and you got 3 wins. That's just that's the sentiment that I think you're saying.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
That I get.
When you see Kareem Hunt score touchdowns doing push-ups in the end zone, you think about a time when we beat the Steelers and he scored them touchdowns and he's doing push-ups. You're like, damn, we had him at once upon a time.
That's fair. It's just this idea that he would have made a difference for the Browns.
No,
I just don't buy that.
He wouldn't have been a 1,000-yard back. He wouldn't have been anything special.
But
He wouldn't have been,
when that's the only piece you're missing,
it looks crazy.
He's an
good.
MVP.
I'm not going that far.
No,
but
because
if he
you
has
don't have
value.
him-
I'll give you he has value.
I'm not going to say they
scenario.
lose that game without Kareem Hunt. I won't go that far. But those, like you mentioned, those 64 yards,
That's
those 4
tough.
yards per carry.
That's tough.
That keeps drives moving.
That
helps you win the game.
I hear you. I think they would have won anyway, but it's a stupid argument.
Let me ask you guys this
who
before we
knows?
move on to the other part of the Browns we got to talk about. Right now, today, G, I'll start with you. Who's a better running back right now, Jerome Ford or Kareem Hunt?
Kareem Hunt? What do you mean?
Jay?
I'm going with the younger legs. I'm going to.
He has more splash ability, but
So,
on down and
I would
down.
go with
Here's
Ford.
what I'd say to that. If you say
Can he handle Ford's workload right now?
if you say who's a better runner, Jerome Ford's a better runner right now. If you say who's a better back, I would say Kareem Hunt. And what I mean is Kareem Hunt is still pretty good at picking up the blitz.
Very good at picking
he
up the
does
blitz.
things like that, those little things that he's still solid at, that Jerome Ford is not particularly good at. If you said to me, well, you can only have one of these guys over a season on the same team carry 15, 20 times, I'd rather have Ford.
I would take the younger legs.
If you say, okay, well, I need him to pass block a lot, and I need him to just score on the goal line, I'd rather take Kareem Hunt.
If you ask me, McNuggets, you got one game for all the marbles.
Oh, that's
Well,
easy.
no, I would-
Kareem
I
Hunt.
would take Kareem Hunt in that
everyone's taking
situation.
Come on out here.
Look, Kareem Hunt might score 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl and be the MVP.
No, listen.
It's possible. It's
I didn't
possible.
get to get as mad as I thought I would because you guys weren't as high on Kareem Hunt as I thought you.
Oh, well, he's not an all-pro.
I don't think anybody was out here
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, here he is, the best running back in the NFL." He's a piece that helps the Chiefs win. That's what he is.
That's fine. I just think it's easy to pile on the Browns, and they deserve it. They mostly deserve it.
yeah.
And moves-
but do it where it's warranted.
right.
And moves like that are the reason why the Chiefs are so good.
That's no doubt.
They find look. That's the difference. That game is hey Buffalo. Can you get in 2 tight ends and run the football to get a yard? No, we got to run our quarterback every single play. That you're not going to win. Then you're not balanced enough. You got to find me somebody.
The frustrating thing is, I think they are good enough to do it.
They have someone on the roster in Cook, and he was standing on
Hey,
the
wait,
sideline.
can I push back on that real quick, G? The Eagles, can we all agree Saquon's the best back in football?
Yes.
Yes.
They
No
do the
question.
push every 4th and 1. So let's not pretend that's
That's
like.
fair.
But Mike,
And they have the best
Mike,
offensive line.
But push is
here's
unstoppable.
why. You can't stop it. It's a cheat code.
But listen,
Although they did stop it yesterday once, didn't
One
they?
time they stopped it
But I'm
yesterday.
just saying, G's saying
No,
they
it's a
should
headline.
have
Hold
a QB run.
One team.
It works.
Hold on. One team gets that off every time.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
There's
it.
no
And
other
it's
team
not
that does
just-
that.
By the way, it's not just the quarterback. It's the push they get from the line.
I'm just
It's the
saying,
created
let's
it
not
from
pretend
behind.
that
I don't know
isn't-
how other teams can't.
I
get
don't
it as
either,
a-
but they can't, Bull.
But
No, they
I
can't.
just saw
Philadelphia they found a cheat code.
And I
it's
just
unstoppable.
I just watched Buffalo with the biggest, most athletic quarterback in the league lose a game on a 4th and 1 because they couldn't do the tush
You're right.
push.
You're right.
So it's everybody would like to play a certain way, but can you play a certain way? And for me, here's what I know. I just know that when you put your hand in the dirt and there's a bunch of, it's 35 linemen and 8 tight ends with a bruising back there, I know there's a slim, you know what you got to do to stop somebody in the backfield on them plays? I used to always chalk it up. I said, man, I used to think on 4th and 1 and 4th and 2 in my head, when they punted or kicked, I said, boy, we dodged. Thank God we dodged the bullet on this one because we wasn't stopping none of that.
It was incredible.
When you're as a fan, if the other team is 4th and 1 and they punt, you're always like, thank God.
Yeah,
God.
especially now.
Thank
Especially now.
the Lord because they was getting that.
And the biggest thing, I agree with you, G, and you're right on the money. You know, maybe I don't completely agree that some of these other teams are not trying as hard, but nobody. Well, I guess in the end I do agree because they're not trying as hard as the Chiefs. The Chiefs do always. We're good here. Let's get this guy. He might make a difference. The Chiefs add all these guys who help 0.5%, and it adds up.
I thought it was a mistake that they didn't go after Amari Cooper, but they knew what Cleveland knew. There's nothing left. He's done.
Fell off a cliff.
He fell off an absolute cliff.
They look like they had Hollywood, right? But they went and got Worthy.
Yeah.
It's like we need that speed element. I know we just spent him in free agency. They're like, okay, well, we got Juju Smith-Schuster. No, that's not enough. Let's go get DeAndre Hopkins too, right?
And the weird thing is, one of them
will
is
do
likely
something.
to do something mind-blowing in the Super Bowl, and then Andy's going to say,
See?
I got him for exactly this moment.
Yeah, right.
DeAndre Hopkins. He's been waiting to have
just
that
sitting there.
monster
And half
game.
of them won't be back next year, and
No.
they'll find other
And they'll
guys.
have new faces and
Yeah.
new names, and they'll win again.
As long as they kept them Mahomes and Reid.
And y'all better get home.
That's it.
You talked about the Cavs better have home court advantage. Listen, if y'all want to beat these dudes, you have no chance of going to Arrowhead.
Yep.
You better start playing
And
them games at the end of the season.
The way to beat Philadelphia is you've got to get them off schedule on first down, which is tough because they've got the best running back in the league. But I'm sure Kansas City for the next 2 weeks is going to be looking at one thing. If you're in 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 situations against them all through the game, it's an L.
Yeah.
Because
You're
they're going to
gonna
pick
lose
those
that-
up.
you're gonna lose that
You
game.
need sacks, and Kansas City's got the defense that can get after them. You need a lot of sacks. You need to get them off schedule and behind the sticks, because if they're sitting at 3rd and short and 4th and short all day, you are not touching the Lombardi
As
Trophy.
much as we're sick of, a lot of us, myself certainly included, sick of this matchup, I will say you've got two teams. I would say, the Eagles coach has been through the ringer. Obviously, there's a big edge there for the Chiefs at coach. But the rest of the team, you got
the best running back,
the best quarterback
versus
with
the best
Mahomes
running back.
versus a good quarterback in Hurts. You got the best running back with the Chiefs. Both teams can run the
Where's
ball.
Philly
Both
ranked
teams can throw the
defensively?
ball.
Number 1, right?
Both teams are good defensively. Both teams, a part of why they won yesterday, both teams is because they got more pressure on the quarterback than the other team did.
And two really good offensive line.
Boy, Washington.
A lot of
spit it
good
out,
stories,
didn't they?
yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Double
they
nickel
came
in
back to
a
earth.
championship game is
But
tough.
they're-
Now, look, they gave them 28 or 21 points with short
Yeah, the
fields and
turnovers.
turnovers, but they got 28 off turnovers.
Hey, listen, if you're
But Philly cashed in on it.
If you're a Commanders fan, and I know you never know if you're going to get back there again, you can't be that.
Great
you're,
season.
You're disappointed in the way it ended. If you're a Buffalo fan, you're like it's,
Crushed.
Yeah,
Here we are again.
As a Washington fan, you got to be like, wow, we had
House
an
money.
amazing
We'll be
season,
back
you know.
five times in the next 10 years.
yeah.
Buffalo's sick.